Hello everyone and welcome to my The Bold Fans channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. The Bold and the Beautiful BNB spoilers for August 10th to 14th show that one character may rescue the day, but some partnerships collapse. The CBS serial will also feature some life-changing developments, so let's talk about them. For begin, Steffy Forrester Finnegan, Jacqueline MacInnes Wood, will lose her cool since she will see Sheila Carter, Kimberlin Brown, as an obsessive stalker. Steffy is about to unleash her wrath as Sheila boards an aircraft to Monaco in pursuit of John Finn Finnegan, Tanner Novlan. Steffy and Sheila will have a furious argument on the beach, which could lead to a bad outcome. Could Steffy end up in serious danger while she is focused on ripping into Sheila? Perhaps Steffy will become distracted enough to have a near-death experience, whether it be from almost drowning or another terrifying event. Whatever the case, Sheila may come to Steffy's rescue and save her from a bleak future. If Sheila is the reason Steffy is able to continue her life with Finn and the kids, she may feel she owes Sheila appreciation. It may be enough to persuade Steffy to allow Sheila to visit her family after her vacation to Monaco. If Finn and Steffy rekindle their vows at the church in Monaco, Sheila may also attend. Back in Los Angeles, Deacon Sharp, Sean Cannon, may be waiting for Taylor Hayes, Rebecca Budig, response to a crucial query, hoping for positive news. Whether Deacon wants to move in with Taylor or propose to her, he may believe it's time for their next chapter to begin. How long can Taylor and Deacon live in paradise until a problem strikes? According to BNB teasers, Daphne Rose Walton, Muriel Hilaire, and Carter Walton, Lawrence St. Victor, may still feel stuck after their family tragedy. Daphne's infertility issues could jeopardize her marriage to Carter if they don't work together to keep love alive. Will Spencer, Crew Morrow, and Melissa Dillon, Sydney Bullock, will be sharing some heated moments shortly. The same is true for Electra Forrester, Lania Grace, and R.J. Forrester, Brian Nicoletti, albeit they, like Dylan and Will, may be doomed as a romantic duo. Despite all of the challenges in Will and Electra's road, it appears that the show still wants viewers to support them. The Bold and the Beautiful spoilers claim the week of August 10th to 14th will be filled with highs and lows on the CBS soap, so stay tuned. The week ahead on The Bold and the Beautiful has one of the most emotionally charged stretches of storytelling in recent memory. Viewers can expect a whirlwind of high-stakes confrontations, love reckonings, and life-altering truths that will forever impact several of Los Angeles's most prominent families. From a dramatic rescue at sea to the unraveling of well-built lies and uneasy friendships emerging in the shadows, the episodes promise to keep viewers on the edge of their seats. The repercussions from Brooke Logan, Ridge Forrester, Eric Forrester, and Nick Marone's Italian expedition, set against a backdrop of sun-drenched coastlines and simmering emotions, is central to the narrative. What started out as a business and pleasure trip rapidly turned into a life-or-death situation when Brooke found herself in the ocean following a startling mishap on a boat. Ridge's spontaneous plunge into the turbulent seas to pull her to safety has already made headlines in the fashion world back home, but the actual significance of that brave deed is only now becoming clear. The rescue was more than just physical. It forced Ridge to confront the depths of his long-held feelings for the lady he had loved, lost, and loved again over the years. When they return to Los Angeles, Ridge faces the difficult task of explaining the events to Taylor Hayes, the woman he is currently engaged to. Taylor, the consummate professional, initially expresses relief that no one was gravely injured. However, her relief is tempered by a determined determination. She makes it obvious that Ridge is not in Brooke's future, and she has no plans to remove the engagement ring that symbolizes their commitment. The talk appears pleasant on the surface, but there is an evident undercurrent of grief and protectiveness. Taylor has been down this path before, and she is determined not to be left standing alone again. Ridge, for his part, is clearly torn. The near-tragic event has taken away the cautious rationalizations he had used to keep his emotions under control. He finds himself torn between his solid cerebral cooperation with Taylor and the emotional, often turbulent history he shares with Brooke. Internal friction manifests itself in calm moments at Forrester Creations and becomes more intense as the week passes. Colleagues and family members observe the change in his temperament. Eric, who has witnessed his son navigate these waters numerous times, provides measured advice but ultimately leaves the decision to Ridge. The tension is tremendous, and it's evident that whatever Ridge decides will send shockwaves through both the Forrester and Logan families. Meanwhile, Nick Marone isn't willing to slip into the background following the Italian incident. Nick, still grieving from the close call involving the woman he has been after for years, returns at Forrester Creations with a mission. He searches out Brooke, expresses his deep affections, and presents a ring. The proposal is both unexpected and emotionally heated. Nick argues that their relationship is far from ended, and that the risk they experienced just highlighted how much they care for each other. Brooke is left to consider an offer that arrives just as her affections for Ridge have been awakened by the rescue. The scenario is rich in history. Nick has always represented a different kind of stability and devotion for Brooke, one that is less embroiled in the complex Forrester relationships. However, the timing could not be more critical. Viewers will watch Brooke carefully consider the unexpected proposal, while the memory of Ridge's arms pulling her from the water is still fresh. Across town, another series of disclosures threatens to upend the Spencers. Liam Spencer has exposed the full scope of the lie surrounding his recent medical crisis. What was described as a life-threatening brain tumor necessitating experimental surgery turned revealed to be a well-planned scam. Grace Buckingham, the doctor who diagnosed the disease and recommended the pricey treatment, admits to fabricating the tumor diagnosis and administering medicine that mimicked the symptoms. Her motivation was financial desperation. Her ex-husband's debts had become so large that loan sharks threatened her and her daughters. In a moment of fear and calculating, she spotted a chance to extort $1 million from Bill Spencer under the premise of paying for the experimental treatment. The confession does not land softly. Liam, still dealing with the emotional and physical toll of the incident, confronts Grace with rage. Hope Logan, who saw the discovery, is equally devastated. She recalls the earlier hurt done by the Buckingham family and reacts with shock and protective wrath. Bill Spencer's reaction is fiery. The father who prides himself on control and strategic supremacy is taken aback by the manipulation of his son's health. He proclaims that Grace will face serious consequences, and the threat carries the weight of a man who has created his empire on the premise that no one crosses a Spencer without paying a high price. The scenes between father and kid following the disclosure are among the most moving of the week. Bill and Liam enjoy an incredibly beautiful moment that strengthens their friendship in ways that years of turmoil never could. The shared anguish of the bogus diagnosis, as well as the subsequent confrontation with Grace, causes them to let go of old resentments and understand the depth of their bond. Grace's plot also brings Finn Finnegan into the moral crossfire. Finn, a physician who has interacted with the medical community surrounding the Spencer and Forrester circles, is left to deal with the ethical breach. The realization that a colleague would jeopardize a patient's life and mental health for financial gain cuts to the core of his professional identity. His attitude is one of disdain and determination that such dishonesty will not be repeated. Sheila Carter arrives at Lee Finnegan's house and makes a discovery that will change countless lives. Luna Nozawa lives behind a curtain, supported by medical equipment. Sheila's reaction consists of shock, relief, and calculating. Sheila and Lee form an immediate and uneasy connection after discovering her granddaughter, who had been thought to be dead or out of reach for years. The two women have a complicated history filled with violence and mistrust, but their shared desire for Luna's survival sparks a temporary truce. Questions arise regarding how Luna has survived, who has been care for her, and what her true state is. The arrangement is delicate. Sheila's presence brings a sense of danger that Lee cannot ignore, while Sheila sees an opportunity to reclaim a part in her granddaughter's life that she has long been denied. The scenes are stressful, full of half-truths and delicate discussions as both women try to safeguard their own interests while dealing with Luna's fragile state. Elsewhere, younger characters face their own watershed moments. Will Spencer and Electra Forrester are expanding their friendship. The couple is definitely in love, and Electra indicates that she is prepared to take the next step. Their plot provides a contrast of youthful optimism and passion to the more worn romances of the older age. However, even this lighter thread is not without complications. The demands of family expectations, the residual effects of previous relationships, and the continual scrutiny that comes with being a member of the Forrester and Spencer dynasties all threaten to strain their partnership. As the week progresses, the interconnectedness of these tales becomes more evident. The daring rescue in Italy does not exist in a vacuum. It pushes Ridge to confront the notion that his fate has always been entwined with Brooke's, even as Taylor remains steadfast in her commitment. Nick's proposal provides another layer of choice for Brooke, one that might either confirm a new route or return her to the old intensity of her relationship with Ridge. Grace's lies expose the ephemeral solidarity that the medical crisis had generated among the Spencer family, replacing it with a harder-won honesty between Bill and Liam. The discovery that Luna lives adds a fresh wild card to the already explosive dynamics involving Sheila, Lee, and the larger Forrester Finnegan circle. The emotional weight of these changes is handled by performances that include both quiet and explosive moments. Ridge's internal conflict is obvious in the way he pauses before speaking and steals looks when he thinks no one is looking. Taylor's determination not to become another victim of the Ridge-Brooke saga is portrayed through measured words and her silent unwillingness to take off her ring. Brooke's thorough evaluation of Nick's proposal reveals a woman who has learned the hard way to be cautious while yet yearning for the love that once defined her. Liam's fury and later softening toward his father reveal a guy emerging from the fog of medical anxiety with a better knowledge of family. Bill's rage at Grace is only equaled by the surprising affection he shows Liam when the immediate threat has passed. Sheila's discovery of Luna is shown with a mix of real passion and the constant undercurrent of self-interest that has always defined her character. By the end of the week, numerous characters will have crossed thresholds from which they cannot easily return. Ridge must determine whether the near loss of Brooke is reason enough to abandon the future he has planned with Taylor. Brooke must choose between Nick's offer, which is safe and genuine, and the irresistible draw of a love that has repeatedly rewritten her life. Bill and Liam must negotiate the repercussions of treachery while preserving the fragile gains they have made as father and son. Lee and Sheila must decide if their uneasy friendship will withstand the scrutiny that will undoubtedly accompany Luna's reappearance. And the younger generation, represented by Will and Elektra, must determine how much of their elders' complex history they are willing to accept. The Bold and the Beautiful has long specialized in stories about the interplay of love, ambition, and family loyalty in the glamorous world of fashion. This week's programs hone that tradition into something really powerful. The heroic rescue acts as both a literal and symbolic catalyst, compelling characters to confront what they are willing to risk and what they are willing to give up. Certain romances' fatal parts are shown not as simple failures, but as the natural result of histories that are too complex to be readily resolved. The major life changes, medical deceptions revealed, believed deaths reversed, engagements called into question, arrive with a sense of inevitability, as if the characters had been building up to these confrontations for months. The viewers will leave the week with more questions than answers, which is exactly the idea. Will Ridge finally make a decision, or will he continue to be torn between the two women who have characterized his romantic life? Can Brooke embrace a future without the guy who has repeatedly saved her from the brink, both literally and figuratively? How far will Bill go to exact revenge on Grace? And what will this imply for the Spencer family's fragile peace? What role will Sheila seek to play in Luna's recovery? And will Lee allow it? These doubts will linger well after the end credits of the week's last show, ensuring that the drama continues in the coming days and weeks. Finally, this week's stories remind audiences why the citizens of this imaginary Los Angeles continue to enthrall. Their relationships are tumultuous, their goals are intense, and their potential for both heroism and self-destruction is limitless. A dive into the sea to rescue a life is the spark that rekindles an old flame. A doctor's desperate deception sparks a family crisis, which eventually enhances a father-son bond. A believed tragedy is discovered to be a closely held secret, forcing two unexpected ladies to collaborate. And through it all, the characters keep moving forward, making decisions that will shape not only their own futures, but the futures of everyone around them. The week of August 10th delivers these moments with the same passion and emotional honesty that has made The Bold and the Beautiful a staple of daytime television for generations. The sun hung low over the Mediterranean, creating a golden shine on Monaco's waters as Steffi Forrester Finnegan stood on the balcony of her luxury room overlooking the harbor. The air smelled of salt and distant jasmine, a great cry from Forrester Creations' glossy halls in Los Angeles. She had come here looking for answers, a chance to reconnect with a man who had once been considered dead, and whose comeback in this exact city had rewritten her entire life. Finn was meant to meet her at the church, the same stone sanctuary where she had collapsed into his arms years before, believing that miracles still happened. Her phone remained silent for longer than she preferred. Finn had pledged to come by the designated hour, but turbulence had delayed his flight, and weather forecasts warned of severe storms coming in from the sea. Steffi tightened her light blanket around her shoulders, attempting to drive away the disquiet. Ridge and Brooke were somewhere in the city handling business affairs for the European expansion, their convoluted past following them like shadows. Life changes seemed to be looming over everyone these days, some chosen, some thrust upon them. Back in Los Angeles, the Spencer Beach home was buzzing with a different type of stress. Will Spencer sat on the edge of the couch, watching at the waves beyond the glass doors, as Dylan went softly through the kitchen. Their night together had been unexpected, and the heat made forgetting easier. Electra's face stayed in his head, the way she had looked as she walked away after discovering the truth about that previous sleepover. Wyatt's remarks from the day before echoed like a warning. Clinging to something already broken merely postponed the inevitable. Bill had been more frank, informing his son that a Spencer never wastes time on dead ends. Dylan placed a glass of water in front of him and sat so close that their knees brushed. She had no intention of pretending this was casual. Her past was tangled, with a series of temporary roofs and relationships, and Katie Logan's harsh questioning the previous afternoon had left her uneasy. Katie had arrived unannounced, her gaze sweeping over the young woman who had somehow carved out a space in her son's life. The chat appeared courteous on the surface but was riddled with mistrust. Dylan was expecting an examination into her background. Mothers like Katie rarely let go once doubt set in. Across town at the Forrester mansion, Electra strode through the corridors with quiet resolve. The breakdown of her relationship with Will left a void that she refused to fill with self-pity. RJ had been there every morning since, sipping coffee with Eric and providing a constant presence that demanded nothing in return. Their chats grew longer every day. He discussed the future of the jewelry brand she still cared about, less formal family meals, and the idea that some bonds evolved gradually and lasted longer as a result. Electra found herself listening more than she anticipated. Her romance with Will had blazed brightly before collapsing beneath the weight of secrets and time. Whatever developed between her and RJ would had to be unique, measured, and free of the rush that had killed the previous one. Carter Walton sat across from Daphne in their living room, the diagnosis hanging over them like an unspoken sentence. Early menopause. The comments fell with clinical precision and emotional sorrow. Daphne's eyes were red from another restless night. She continued telling him that she had failed him, that the life of children and shared milestones that he deserved were no longer available to him. Carter reached for her hands and gripped them tightly. He reminded her that their marriage was never founded on biology. Steffi had suggested methods to help that were still too painful to share, but the discussion about other options, adoption, surrogacy, or simply rethinking what family meant, had begun in quiet moments. Major life transitions rarely come with clear directions. They needed the bravery to rewrite the story together. Deacon Sharp stood at Taylor's apartment that evening, with Sheila's divorce papers fully signed and filed. Freedom seemed both liberating and strange. He'd spent years caught up in cycles of loyalty and sorrow over Sheila. Now that she was focused elsewhere, he could gaze at Taylor without being distracted by previous debts. He spoke thoughtfully about the future, about shared living spaces, and about the type of commitment that was no longer threatened by external threats. Taylor listened with the caution of someone who has witnessed too many broken promises. Their relationship had evolved in the shadow of larger dramas, Yet it maintained a unique sense of stability. Whether it was marriage or a deeper pledge, the next step marked another permanent transition.